New tonight at 6. While many people know the city of Madison gets its name from former President James Madison, others may not know that another president has a connection here too. 3 grandsons of former President Thomas Jefferson are buried at Forest Hill Cemetery, and it was those 3 who were honored earlier this afternoon. The daughters of Union veterans Civil War remembered the 3 grandsons with a service and placed grave markers at their burial sites.
We're very pleased because obviously they enlisted from the state of Wisconsin. Those 3 grandsons are Colonel John Wales Jefferson, Private Beverly Frederick Jefferson, and his grandson-in-law, which was Captain Albert T. Pearson. We plan to place grave markers in honor of their heroic struggles during the Civil War.
In addition to remembering their lives, organizers said they also hope events like these help educate the community.